All right. So officially, welcome. You know what's funny? You know, when you record things and you have to go back and do things with them, I realized every time I started recording, I say every single time, all right. I have no idea why. I just said it again. But here we are. Welcome to the live Q&A for your Spiritual Business Unblocked. So this is a time really more than anything else that's here for your support. And for those of you who know me, I like to celebrate things a lot. So I want to hear your celebrations too. And you're included in this when you're obviously on Zoom here and also in Facebook. So I'm going to just talk about how this is going to be a little bit different than every other day that we've been together. But okay. Before I do that, let me just ground into it, just sort of formally saying, I want to just really bring to presence that I had such a good time over all 5 days. And I literally have been feeling this wave of energy that has continued with all of this, right? All of this. I mean, it was every single day. And I felt like the energy was building during the days that we were together. And then afterwards, it's like there's still been this wave if you've been on Facebook, because more and more people are watching the replays. I think I said this during the 5-day. More people said they were going to be catching the replays than were going to be there live. And based on what's going on YouTube, definitely people are watching more. And I know on Facebook, people are watching more because on those little challenge posts every single day, I have not even had a chance to catch up with all of you yet. I keep going in, and every day I'm spending some time going in and responding to your messages. And I hope to have more time this weekend to get through all of your questions. But the energy has been really incredible around that. So the reason I'm saying that is because, you know, this is all of you creating that energy. This is all of you showing up. This is all of you saying, yes, there's something else possible. So that's the energy that we feel and the excitement. And so for those of you who've decided to show up and dive in and see what's here for you, I'm just applauding each and every one of you. So for our Q&A, basic Q&A event, I have some other things to share with you also, but I'm planning on running no more than 2 hours, okay? Now, as long as we're sharing, as long as there are questions, I'll be here for up to 2 hours. If we feel complete, if all the questions that have been asked, all the celebrations are over, then we'll wrap it up early. It's just very relaxed that way. I don't have a huge agenda because this is a time for you, really, more than anything else. I do have a couple of things to share because some things have changed in the background. But again, primarily this is a space for you to have a place to share and ask questions and receive support afterwards. I want you to also know that after our 5-day is over, it's not over. If you're still playing with this and you still want to connect, if you still have questions come up, or maybe you're going in and trying something for the 15th time, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The best place for the ongoing response and support will be in the Facebook group. And so you can go in there anytime and just pop a question in the thread there. And I don't check it every day, but I try to get in there every single day to see what's happening and answer any questions or celebrate with you if you have something amazing to share also. All right. So here's what we're going to do. In a few minutes, like, what are your questions? Anything that came up. So it could be about something specific that happened in a session you were in. It could be something that's confusing to you, maybe a little bit of subtlety that you'd like to understand more about the Akashic records. I mean, there's so much more that we can do. And I'm going to talk about that towards the end, because I'm going to continue some of this in our Wellspring Lives on Fridays. Okay. The other thing is, let's celebrate. And the idea that what went right for you during this? What was a breakthrough or an aha that you might have experienced in the middle of this? In any of it, some people have really great experiences just with day one, the open-ended questions, right? And then, in any part of it, there could have been something that was unexpected for you. It could be, sorry, I'm just letting people in here while okay, great. What was unexpected? And a question I always like to ask, because I like the energy of reflecting back, meaning it's easy for us to keep barreling forward and want the next thing and, oh, I'm going to the next goal, right? Because wherever we go, as soon as we get there, we're on to, our field of desires has us moving forward all the time, right? We rarely just say, wow, I'm going to rest for a month because I just achieved this great thing. Human nature has us keep barreling forward. So one of the best things I think often to do is look back and say, well, where was I 5 days ago, 6 days ago, a week ago? Where was I a year ago? And to get that view of ourselves so that we actually have an opportunity to appreciate our growth, appreciate the change. Will there be the next stages of growth and change knocking at our door? Of course, but I love celebrating for that reason. And then also, I did have some questions come up about the Spiritual Business Accelerator program. And so I'll answer a few of those at the end. And if I don't answer them, you just send me a message and we can talk about it. Now, the other thing is, for today's call, we have options for sharing. So during our 5-day, really all the questions, all the sharing happened in the chat. Today, you can type into the chat, or you can raise your hand and I can call on you. I can only do that. I'm sorry, Facebook people. I can only do that in Zoom. So if you're in Zoom, please type your questions into the chat. If you're in Facebook, type your questions into the chat. If you're in Zoom, you can raise your hand and unmute yourself to ask your question if you wish. And you could do that with a celebration. You could do it with a question, whatever you wish. Now, the one thing I would ask is, because I would like as many people to share and be served as possible in our time together, if you have a question or a share, can you keep it tight? Can you keep it concise? You know what I mean? Like, consider your question. And sometimes we don't need all the story that led up to it, right? So James is laughing. Right. And you understand this, don't you? I hope I'm not offending anybody, but we all get into our stories, don't we? Right. And they're all important to us. I get it. But we want to maximize also the number of people that can ask questions and share today. So if you have anything like that, just maybe write it down, think about it. What do I really want to know right here? Okay. So that's an option that you can unmute when we get to that time. Wow, people are just really popping in. That's awesome. All right. Now, I did have some questions come in, as I mentioned before, email, private message, social media, asking about the pricing of the 6-month program. I'm sorry, I was not trying to keep that a secret. People said, it's not on your page. You know what? I'm going to be totally transparent with you. I wasn't trying to keep it a secret. So I apologize if that created mystery and like, what is she trying to hide? No, I wasn't. I just want to have a one-to-one conversation with people. That's all. So guess what's on the page today? The pricing. It's all there now. I'm going to talk about it. It wasn't being hidden. So if that bothered you, I really apologize. I just want to hear about you. Like, the purpose of the one-to-one calls was just like, I want to get to know you, see if this is a right fit for you. So there's that. We'll get to that in a minute. Again, it's so funny how you do things with a particular thought in mind, but it lands differently than you expect. So forgive me for that. Anyway. All right. So I do have a couple of questions, not too many came in on the people put comments in case they weren't going to be here. Michelle, I know you're here, or at least you are right now, that your questions were, and then somebody else. So let's just start with the questions. What's up with your questions? You can begin by or celebrations, either one. You can raise your hand if you're here in Zoom land, if you're here in Facebook land. I'm just checking over there. Nice to see all your names here. Go ahead and dive in. Who's going to be the brave person to dive in first? All right, Carmen, then Judy. Go ahead, Carmen. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Holly. My succinct question is, I didn't understand why the vision practice from the last day, we were connecting with the personal Akashic records as opposed to the business Akashic record. So how do I decide which one to go to going forward?
That's an excellent question. Excellent question. You know, honestly, I do both. Now, I don't do both at the same time, but like today, for example, I was doing work in my personal Akashic records, and I just ran out of time. No, actually, I take that back. I did it in my business's records, and I did think afterwards, I just didn't have the time. I want to go in with those same questions into my personal. Part of it is, what vision are you really looking for? Now, remember, there's that, you know, beautiful Venn diagram of the overlapping circles. So your business is separate from you, but there is this huge intersectional place. So like today, today I was going into the Akashic records around the Spiritual Business Accelerator program. And total transparency here. Why? Because I was getting clarity that there's a third level of pricing that was added in today, but I wanted clarity. So that was very businessy, right? Very businessy. So I went into the business. There's some that really kind of feel like a little bit of both of us. So feel free to use both. But the only thing you don't do is open up both sets of records at the same time, because it's like trying to have a meaningful conversation with two people at once. It just doesn't happen. Right? You know, let me talk to you, and no, you know, it's too hard. So just open one set of records, go in. So I would use whatever feels right in the moment. And like I said, take the same questions into one, see what you get, and take them into the other and see what you get. Does that help, Carmen?
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great question. Judy, I see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Okay, so what I wanted to do is kind of just tell you what happened. I had my open-ended question, and I've been saying it, and it is, what if I easily brought to me the right people to my work or business who are ready to see the healing value of my offerings?
Wonderful.
So that's my open-ended question. So then I thought of two people. And I reached out to both of them and said, would you like to set up an appointment with me? And they both know that I've done reconnective healing and I do other things too. And they both said yes. So this coming Monday, I have an appointment with one in the morning and the other one in the afternoon.
Yay!
It worked.
Well, and you know what? It's just like you opened your field. You opened your energy field, and you still were in action around it, right? You still had to call them. They didn't just drop out of the sky, but your energy shift allowed you to even consider making those calls and seeing what was happening. Excellent. Yay. I love that. I love that. Congratulations. All right, let's see. I have a question here also. Have you ever opened couples Akashic records at the same time? No. Okay, I'll give you a bit bigger answer than that. When we think about it being a communication with somebody's soul or their high level intelligence, their, you know, sometimes people don't like the soul word, but you know, God stuff that runs through them, you know, the higher energy of who we are, however you want to feel that. You're having a direct conversation there. And so have I opened up the Akashic records of couples? Yes, but individually. Not at the same time, meaning, and I've done it where both of them are in the room together. I mean, usually it's on Zoom, but both of them are together. I open one set of Akashic records and we deal with that, close it, and we open up another set. I have heard of people opening up the Akashic records of the relationship or the marriage. I've never tried that. You could try it and see what happens, but two sets of records don't get open at the same time. So if you open up their marriage or their relationship, it would be one thing. I like experimenting with things and just see how it goes. But, you know, if you're new to the Akashic records, I might hold off on that until later, till you get a little bit more experience. And especially so, because Diana, you asked this question, I don't know how much experience you've had. Maybe you've already had a lot of experience, but it's very different opening other people's records and working there versus your own. And so, oh, she's done it before. Isn't it similar to a group setting? When I work if I open up the Akashic records of a group, I'm opening up the Akashic records of the entire group. So that would be more like opening up the Akashic records of a relationship versus the two individuals. But I have opened up the Akashic records of a group a lot. Yeah. But you're getting information from the field of everyone who's there or everyone who will connect with it. I used to write a regular article for an online publication. And every single month when I went to write that there was an Akashic message at one point and a channeled message at one point in the month. And the Akashic message is I opened it up for the readership, if you will. I had the formal name of it, but the readership of that publication. So it's a collective message. It's not so much an individual message. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, try it, Diana, try it. I mean, Diana said, I sense that I will be shifting towards doing pleasure couple Akash. You know, here's the thing. There are people out in the world who say, oh my gosh, you cannot do that. I feel like if you get a sense of the Akashic records and what's possible there, go into your records and find out if this is like something that would be great to do. And if it's meaningful and transformative for the people involved, and then spend some time crafting it, practicing, you know, what are the benefits of it? Why is this a great thing to do? I like experimenting with things to see. Not everything's going to necessarily feel like a yes, but I feel like, you know, we're here to break boundaries. We're here to break paradigms, right? To bring through new things. So I'm interested to hear how it goes for you, Diana. Let me know. So great question. Okay, I'm checking into Facebook land now. Wait, where are the Akashic records? I think is the question I've got here. Okay, so the Akashic records, when we go back to day 2, when we're talking about the Akash, the field of the Akash, it's ether. It's through everything. Now, there are lots of ideas out there in the world about where the Akash actually is. Some people say the whales carry the Akash. This whole library metaphor really makes people think it's location dependent. And also, we are so location dependent as we're here on the planet, right? We're so like, my body's here, I'm traveling to work, I'm here, you're wherever you are. We are very location oriented. So, but it's a field of very highly refined energy. So it's not real. I feel like some people also say it's in our DNA. I kind of feel like it's everywhere. I think we relate to it in a very local way, but it's really the Akash is an endless energetic field. And so where is our particular record? See, like if we go to the library and we're looking for a book, which we could say is a record, we want it to be in a particular location. I feel like it's connected with our soul. That's my personal feeling. Nobody's taught me that. That's just, it's just connected with our field that travels with us throughout all of our incarnated and non-incarnated, earthbound and non-earthbound experiences. All right. Hopefully that helps. Now, here's another question from Facebook. What types of questions would you ask when opening up the Akashic records of a relationship? I've been working in the records since 2016 with people around toxic relationships and healing. So maybe opening up the records of a relationship would be even more healing. It might be. You know what? You guys are great. Not guys, gals who've asked these questions. I'm sorry. I want to obliterate that word. You're not guys. So what types of questions would you ask? So first of all, I would not personally go into a relationship or a couple's records without them being with me. Now, again, I don't mean physically present. I mean, even over Zoom, I'm not going to take. This opens up a kettle of fish, bag of worms, can of worms, all of those. It opens up all of this. I'll talk about it in a minute. The highest expression, the highest experience of the Akasha is not doing remote readings for people, meaning give me your questions and then I'll go in the records and then I'll send it back to you. I'm not saying that anyone's asking that. I'm just telling you. So if I were doing a reading for people, and if we opened up the Akashic records of a relationship, I feel like there's so many different energies there. I feel like the best way to address it would be looking at the relationship together, but also the individuals. Now, what would I ask? And it depends on what is up for the people. I would have the people who you're opening the records for bring their questions. Now, you still might say, well, what are good types of questions? Part of it's going to be based on what their issues are. So, I mean, people ask me all the time, individually, not in a couple, like, why am I with this person? And sometimes that's founded on a really deep connection. They feel like, oh my gosh, from the minute I saw you, I know I've been with you forever. And they want to have a deeper understanding of that deep connection that seemed instantaneous. And they're just juicy, yummy in love and, you know, can't imagine ever having another relationship that's as good. Then they're also working with relationships where, you know, we just want to optimize what we've got going on here. Then there's also relationships that are highly challenged. I think I would approach it differently, but I think more than anything else, I like to work in the Akashic records, and this goes to a question that was asked that I'll answer in a minute, is from a very positive point of view. I would go in, if somebody was having problems, for example, the couple was, I would ask in the records, but only if it's a question that's authentic to them. Like, what more can we know and understand about this conflict? What's the origin of this conflict? You know, the reality is I've done a lot of readings, and any of you who've done Akashic record readings, listen, you know, I've worked with people who've had this stabbing pain in their shoulder and had nothing to do with this lifetime. It was because a knight came up behind them and surprised them and hurt their neck, and it festered and they died in the woods and they felt betrayed. And that's what's really there. So, you know, we deal with energies that we can't explain in this lifetime logically. So there could be energies in a relationship that have come from another time and place that those two souls were interacting. So it's pretty complex to answer that question, but a lot of it is founded, the grounding of it is, what do they want to know? But I like to move in the place, not to gloss over things, but like, we want to optimize the experience here, whatever it is. And some of it's through challenges, and some of it's through just understanding how people can treat and be with each other better, I guess you would say. Let me know in the chats for both of you who asked if that helps. Okay, I'm going to go back and look at this again. Oh, I usually give my clients example questions. What I would start off with is just asking them what they want to know, what their biggest problems are, or what's the next level that they're trying to reach, and what is on their mind that would help give you a framework to go in relative to. Okay, great. I'm glad it helps. All right. Anyone else? Celebrations. What else was a breakthrough? You're welcome, Valerie. Celebrations, breakthroughs, questions, conundrums, mysteries. Sound like I'm selling something on the corner, don't I? James, please go ahead, and then Eva.
Yeah, so I've been, I haven't actually been doing all of the, the homeworks for this. I did take the spiritual business course a couple, I think back in 22, 21.
2020.
I recommend it. Yeah, I recommend it. I was in the first one. But anyway, today, well, I've been going into my records, just asking, for one word or phrase that might apply, or just for today. And a few days ago, it was trust. This morning, it was feel it real, feel that it's real. So, and then they kind of explain it means, to go on and to feel that you already have what that success. Because I haven't yet opened my business, but I'm just on the cusp of it. And so I figured, well, I'm going to try contacting GoDaddy because I want to correct some things and add, check something. And I ended up getting like the best person. And we were on the phone for 3 hours, like, doing stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's like, I did more than I thought I was going to do, because I thought I was just going to do, little bit, one day. And I figured, I got this great person. So, and she'd say, oh, you have any more? And it's like, okay, so we pretty much almost got everything. So, all I need to do is just really get things down in my head, because, the tech stuff. And last thing is I decided to, for now, I'm not going to offer Akashic records readings, but I put, coming Akashic, but I just don't feel, I feel good doing it for myself, but not for others yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was told it's okay, offer what you're comfortable with.
Of course.
And you can do that. You can do that when you feel like you're ready. Don't let it bother you. So this was a big thing, because I was thinking this is probably going to take a while for me to do the stuff that I did today. I just kept on going more and more. Okay, let's do this. So, and I'd already, taken 2 months off from working on it. So I just wanted to bring that up. I felt like I was told to congratulate, self-congratulate a lot. So
good for you. Well, and it feels like you just going in every day and you were just getting yourself energetically aligned. And then, wow, you found the right person who was willing to really support you and all that. That's amazing. I think we can all appreciate getting a great person on the help or support line, can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great. Congratulations on all that. Thanks for sharing, James. Eva, your turn.
Hi. I just wanted to address two things. First of all that learning we did last week was really amazing for me. I got the concrete steps how to go over that gap. and it's amazing. I'm really still digesting everything and going slowly, step by step. I know it's going to be process, but I'm loving it, because at the end they just, I just need to convince myself that I'm good at it and go for it. So it has been really amazing, but I know it will take time to get full into it. Also, I have been asked by many of my friends to read Akashic records. So I think I'm not ready to take any money or anything for that. I don't think that's my path, but I got more confident last week because I got a lot from my own and my business's Akashic record. So I feel more confident about that too. And I'm very, very grateful. Like, that has been really eye-opening week for me. And there's one more question I have. When you mentioned that knight hitting somebody, from behind with a knife, and person having a pain in the shoulder or the neck. Okay, when you identify the person and when you identify where the pain comes from, how do you release that?
The Akash releases it by the knowing.
Wow.
So here's my example, and we do a lot more of this in the Foundational Akashic Records class, but I'll go through this very quickly. And I'm going to be a little dramatic, okay? Because you'll remember this. Everyone will remember this, okay? Let's just pretend that, I don't know, 100 lifetimes ago, I did this thing. And I did this thing, and it saved the whole village. That was a good thing to do, wasn't it? This is my thing that I did to save the whole. This is just an example. It's just my crystal that sits on my desk. Okay. This is the thing I did. It was good. My whole village survived. I'm going to hang on to that. Okay. Energetically, I'm hanging on to that. Now, in another lifetime, I did some other things. And well, that was good too, right? It was really good. And I don't forget it. So I'm going to keep hanging on to it. And in another lifetime, I did these other things. Then there was that other lifetime where people did terrible things to me, and I never want to be around those type of people again. And then we keep going over all of our lifetimes, and we get to this lifetime and we go, oh my, see all the things that are on my desk? And we go, oh my gosh, I'm so burdened. Oh, life is heavy. Okay, right? Can we all relate to that? Now, do I remember I'm carrying all these things in this lifetime? Absolutely not. No idea. But they were good. They were good. I'm not going to let go of them. So then we start doing our personal work, because we say, oh my gosh, I feel terrible. What's going on with me? I must be blocked. Of course, we are trying to carry too many things. Now, we work in the Akashic Records or do whatever we do, and we go, oh, that was that thing in the 1600s. Oh, okay. It leaves. Now, this isn't entirely true. This is a simple version of it. But just us knowing that that has nothing to do with this lifetime, that resolves a lot of the energy. It's not my job to release it. I don't release it as a reader in the Akash. The energy releases because it's understood. Now we have another thing. Well, wait, let me back up. Let's just, I got a floor to clean up afterwards. But anyway, but what happens is I release this thing from the 1600s. It was just this, I've been carrying it around. I go, I feel so light. I feel so free. Woo! I'm a new person. Still have a lot of stuff, don't I? Okay. This is the healing journey, right? Then we go along, we go, oh, I'm feeling burdened again. So we find something else. And that betrayal. That betrayal is that person I sit across from at work, and they did that thing to me. Oh, I understand. Okay, I can let that go. And again, we feel free. We still have stuff. So it's overly simplified because there are times and ways that we actually have to spend more time working with the energy, but a lot of it releases just because we've discovered it.
That's amazing. Thank you very much.
Sometimes we still have to work with it. I'm going to tell you a story about, some of you may have heard this story, but this was many years ago when I still lived in San Diego. And what's the name of that funny bookstore down there, James? I don't think it exists anymore. Anyway, used to do talks at this bookstore all the time. And so there was an elderly man in his 70s who connected because of that. And there's something like dragons, mystical something or other, James, you'll remember. And he called me. I'm on the phone with him for an Akashic record reading, and he had a problem. By the way, I have permission to tell this story. And this was a long time ago, but yes, controversial bookshop. Thank you. And he said, he's in his 70s. For 40 years, he had chronic, severe back pain. He gave me the list of doctors, medical procedures, this, that, and the other thing, all the alternative practitioners, all the energy work he had done. And he said, can you help me? I was a little intimidated because he did a lot of work on it for a long time. And 40, and even, there was times he didn't want to be on narcotics, So I was intimidated, but I thought, okay, this is not, all I can do is go into his records and let's see where it was. So actually a fairly simple story came up about a lifetime. Don't know how long ago it was, don't know where it was. Those things don't really matter. Where he was a farmer and he grew food, and other people in the village grew food, and they kind of shared food together, right? We kind of know that village type scenario. And there was a misunderstanding. Nothing overtly dramatic, like a festering sword, wound from how many lifetimes ago. But it hurt him. He was hurt emotionally by this misunderstanding. This is what came up in the reading. Not big, not dramatic. It's a pretty ordinary life, right? He's not a king or, we all like to think we're really sexy in all these lifetimes. We have a more ordinary lives than anything else. And at the end of the read, so we did all that. And at the end of the reading, he said, my back's not hurting. And I kind of thought, okay. And I was so happy for him because, I knew his pain. I had met him before. And I just thought, we'll see. I didn't say this, so I thought, I hope it helps, right? I hope it works. And time went by and I didn't hear from him. And I was at this bookstore doing another presentation, and there he was in person. I said, how's your back? This is months later. He said, it's never hurt since then. And then we had a joke that anytime I saw him, he said he'd give me the update on his back. And after 2 or 3 years, a couple times he said he had to take Advil or something like that a couple times, but basically it was gone.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Now I'm going to just say this. Does that happen every single time? No. But has that, there are a lot of stories I could tell you about things just because it's the right time in the right moment. And it's also, you're at the core layer. Sometimes when we do something and we're a little bit better, but we're not completely better, we're not at the core layer yet. We definitely are clearing things away, but there may be more to explore, more layers. Okay. I mean, really, we could do a whole weekend course on that. I love talking about those things, but that's basically what you do with it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Big answer, I know. Yeah. And what we want to know, here's the other thing I really important for you, everyone, is your Akash is loaded with, remember, it stores every thought, word, and deed. Somebody can put in the chat, because I'm not remembering right now how many thoughts we have a minute. So if you consider lifetimes, incarnations, even when our incarnation might have been 40 or 50 years, it's more thoughts, words, and deeds than we can even process. And that's your Akash. So what are we accessing right now when we go in there? Only the things that are relevant in this lifetime and right now. Right? Because what if we had a very ordinary life and we got through it, or anything that came up, we've already resolved? Do we need to go back into that quagmire and drag it out and say, oh, that thing happened? We have energetic patterns that are still alive in us of really great things that we've cultivated, and also things that are still sticky for us. Those are the things, if they're alive in our energetic field right now, even if they're related to another time and place, that's what we access. This is why we don't go in the records to just say, well, I don't know, just, can I just have a list of who I was in all the times and places? That's a misunderstanding of what the Akashic Records is about. This is a profound dimension of deep alignment to our soul level truth. So what comes up are the things that matter. I've had people ask me before, can you tell me about that person I met on the beach 20 years ago? Are you still in relationship with them? Nope. No, I don't have any information for you in the Akash, because that's like saying I talked to somebody on the subway. I mean, so again, I'm not insulting those types of questions, but we want to really understand if it's alive in our energy field, we'll get something around it. Past, maybe past lives, maybe ancestral issues, current lifetime, and future potential. That's what we're looking for, is just what's active here. If I already put my 1600s problem down, I'm never going to go back to it again. It's why I've had people in my classes say, well, I went into the Akashic Records during class and I did it, and I wanted to go back and find that incarnation again, and I can't. The energy is resolved. There's nothing to go back for. It might be a little disappointing, but it's also exciting to know that the energy is resolved, right? Yeah. All right. So you can hear I get super passionate about this. All right. Let me just check over in Facebook land here. Okay. I don't see any more questions there. So let's go back. Carmen, I see your hand up again. Ask away.
Yeah, this is a follow-up question of that man that you were talking about, who had the back pain. What was his question? Was it like, how do I cure my back pain? Or what was the cause of my back pain that led to that whole discovery?
Well, it was probably over 10 years ago that I did that reading with him. So let me just, I don't know exactly. I mean, my memory isn't going to tell me exactly what they asked. But again, this is way bigger than what we did in the 5 days. But I'll give what I would have had him do if he said, I don't understand why I can't heal my back, which is going to be more along the lines of what he would have asked. I'm making it up because I don't remember exactly. It was so long ago. Listen, if you had a reading with me yesterday, don't expect I remember anything about it today, because you're in this altered space. You might be able to remind me, and if you reminded me, I might remember, but I don't even remember people's readings. So, but he probably would have said, look, I have this back problem, and I make people that sounds so bossy. I don't want to hear people's stories or questions before I'm in their records. I want to hear all of that once the records are open, because I hear it all differently. I hear it all differently there. So if they have a story, then I say, tell me what's been, they would say, I don't understand. I can't figure out what's the problem with my back. It's always hurting. And I would say, talk to me about it. Tell me what you've done. I am not psychic. I ask them to tell me what they've done, what's going on, because as they talk, I'm receiving from their soul guidance team. And I know where to go, because the fact that it was a chronic pain does not mean it had to be a past life issue. It does not mean it had to be a past life issue just because it's chronic. So you just open up. And so I have them talk. And as they talk, tell me their story, the soul guidance team is starting to bring information to me.
Thank you. That helps.
Yeah. So would that be the type of question you can ask in the Akashic records to help with the layers to your physical health? So Juliet, maybe I talked too long. Do you want to unmute and explain that a little more?
Okay, so what I'm understanding is like, so there's, we have layers to us through our lifetimes. So some of these physicality of issues have been presented in those lifetimes. How do we ask in order to release that in the layers kind of way, or does it just happen organically?
You mean the layers way versus getting to the center right away?
Yes. And then how do you know when you're actually at the core root? Like, and then I posted another question about like weight issues, because lots of people have come and they want to, they're having weight issues and different things like that. So like, it's the unraveling, but how do you ask the right questions to maybe do the unraveling in that sense?
So a few answers to your questions. Great questions. Number one is, I never know, was that the center nugget or not? I don't know. As the reader, I don't know. You know who knows? You do, after you live your life and see how you feel. Everyone, right. Just like I said, I can put this down and I go, whoa, I feel better. It doesn't mean I'm not carrying other things yet. Every layer that we release, we feel better.
Yes.
Always. And then we just live life and we see, is there more there? But what we also know is we're this absolutely densely woven spider web of interconnectivity. And that's the layers part of it. So what I do is just deal with what's top of mind for them right now. And so if somebody said, the weight thing is very complicated. I mean, I guess everything is complicated in a way. So I deal with what is top of mind. Also, here's my point of view. And this goes back to Michelle's question that she put in the chat, is like, what do I do on a regular basis to release?
Okay.
This is me. I don't orient my work in the records towards releasing. I orient my work in the records relative to reaching for the next best thing. And I'm totally transparent about this. I talk about this all the time. I am so sick of healing what's wrong with me. I'm sick of it. But what I mean by that is sitting in this space where I'm looking to resolve a problem that's wrong with me is sitting a lot of goodness. And that's true for all of us, right? So and sometimes we got to go dig in the mud, and we absolutely do. But I don't always look to release. I look for, what do I need to know and understand to take that step forward, to not do that thing anymore, or to be kinder to myself, or whatever it is. I look for it. In the records, ask a lot of positive, proactive questions versus, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Because I personally believe on the healing journey, too many of us are stuck in waiting for that magical last healing where we pop through and we're in nirvana. How many of you can relate to that?
We all want it, for sure.
We all want it. So how do we help ourselves right here in our messy middle? Like, you know what? There's some shitty things about me right now. Raise my hand about that. And there's some really good things about me. And all of us, I guarantee you, all of us have way more things that are better about us than are crummy. Absolutely. We just don't want to admit it. We don't want to focus on those because we have been conditioned to focus on what's wrong with us. So, do we sometimes have to go dig in the sewer? Absolutely. But I also feel like we can, like, here's where I like to go. Now, some of this comes from this channeling work I do with Ishtara. She's really reframed my orientation to this. What's the problem? The problem's the stuff, the rock, what needs to be released, right? And this is not unique to Ishtara's teachings, by the way. It's just she's the one who brought this to me originally, so I'd connected with that. Other people talk about this. I don't know where, but I mean, she's the one who brought this to me. And Ishtara is who I channel. So she says, all we do is focus on, this is what's wrong, this is what's in my way, this is where I'm blocked, this is where I'm stuck, this is what needs to be released, right? We all know that, right? We spent lifetimes doing this. But here's what she says is, okay, that's there, you're right. And when you have enough money, this will go away. Or when somebody loves you the right way, this will go away. Or if your parents hadn't done that to you, this will go away, right? You know, come on in, the water's fine with that. Here's what she says, and this is what I do in the records. What do I want to be feeling? What do I pretend when this goes away? What do I expect to be feeling? Satisfied, successful, safe, happy, peaceful. I mean, whatever it is. It takes a minute more. Instead of focusing on this, if this wasn't in my way, I'd be okay. What does okay look like to you? What does okay feel like to you? What are you expecting? What are you expecting on the other side of this? Make sense? Are you guys with me on this? Sorry, I said guys again. Are you all you humans? Are you with me on that? Great, thank you. So here's the idea is, let's go for that. Let's take the pressure off this and say, how can I feel happy, successful, satisfied, peaceful, loving myself, whatever I need right here, right now, even if, yeah, I ate an Oreo or whatever, you know, I don't even know the last time I ate an Oreo. I don't know why that image came into my head, but because I don't have Oreos in my house. But the point, but if they were here, I'd eat them, I'll tell you, in a weak moment, I would eat them. That's why they're not here. So the idea here is that let's take the pressure off this, because this is representing something that's in the way of what we really want on the other side of it. So that's a big answer to how I work in the records. I think, okay, even if something's problematic, I sit in this idea, this is also from Ishtar, we live in a field of infinite possibilities. So what if I don't have to jettison this rock out of here? What if I can find a path to sneak around it? What do I really want? And so if I really want an experience where I finally feel seen by somebody, or finally feel okay being me, or whatever it might be, how do I get there, whether this is here or not? That's how I tend to work in the records. And sometimes when that happens, you see, I don't have to know if it's a past life issue. I don't have to know if it's an ancestral concern. I don't have to know if it's all centered in this lifetime. Your soul guidance team takes care of that. You ask the questions, you explain yourself, you tell your stories. This is all another class, you know that, right? So, but you tell your stories, you do all that, and then you let them bring you to the right place that you need based on your vibrational resonance at this moment. And then going back to Julie's question is, no matter what goes on there, a layer's lifted. And then we live with it and see how we feel. That layer, the next layer down might be connected to 5 other things, or it might be kind of free floating and we can just take that off, or we need to do some other things on it. No matter what we do, we're going to feel better every time. And I never know for myself, and I never know working with somebody. I know, like today, I had a reading with somebody. It was hard. We had to go at this question they had in a lot of different ways. Then there was this moment like 10 minutes before the end. Let me tell you, this happens. And I could literally feel like We just got there. That was where the energy moved. Is that the last time that question's ever going to be asked of me by that person? Probably not. But did something significantly shift? Yes. So we just trust the soul guidance team that see, we have to let go of the steering wheel here, folks. I often say I'm actually a reporter of information. I'm not doing it in the records. I report. I'm the intermediary between who's asking and the soul guidance team. My job is to be the best, most open reporter. I'm not the doer. I'm the reporter of what's coming through. The translator, in a sense. Does that help, everyone? I do go on. Like I get so excited about this. Validations all around. Oh my goodness, guys, thank you. Holly, you and Ishtar, bring it. Yeah, so what else do we want to chat about? Candace, you look very mysterious in your blue purple lighting in there.
Well, I have some questions. I can't start my video
Okay.
for some reason.
I recognize your.
Hi, here I am. I'm leaning back. I'm not sitting up poised and hi. So I haven't been in the records for a long time. And
You took that class in Portland with me, right? That was
ages ago. Yeah. And I loved it. And it was really fun and easy for me, but I just took it for granted and moved on with, how life does. So I assume it sounded like there were new invocations and some new ways of getting in there. Should I just use my old ones?
You can use what you learned before. You can, if you connect with this, if you signed up for the emails, and if not, I can put that link in here. Or if you're on your phone, we can.
I think I did.
Okay, then the new invocations in the workbook.
Okay.
A lot
great.
of people didn't, yeah. So, and you can connect with it and see which one feels better for you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And some people didn't get the workbook who signed up for the emails.
I think I did.
Okay.
I think I have it. What I'm going to do is print it. I meant to print it in.
Yeah, and I'm
I
sorry,
didn't.
it's 21 pages, but that's Holly. That's
Well, that's who I'm setting with this time. So this is what I'll do.
the people on the marketing.
Do you have a black and white version? Isn't it all pretty pink and purpley?
It's pretty. Just print it in black and white. Just choose black and
Oh,
white.
you can do that. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I'm excited and I'll print it out and that'll be good. Good. So wonderful. Thanks so much. I'm excited.
Glad you're here, Anna.
Thank you so much, Holly.
Yeah, the marketing team who's been helping me with everything, it's like, I said, yeah, I'll get the workbook for you, because I didn't make it look pretty like that. One of the gals on the team does, who makes everything look gorge. And so
that's great.
She took my Word document and made it look like that. Okay. I can take credit for the content. She made it look gorgeous. And
that's fun.
21 pages, Holly, for a 5-day free thing. It's like, yeah, this is what everyone needs. So that's me. I have a hard time. This is when way back in the day, my dad used to say to me, can you just try and get B's instead? And I said, I don't know how to do that. I bet some of the others of you are like that, right? Like you just if you see it, the vision's there, you just have to do it to the nth degree. So. But it's also a PDF. So if you have it on your computer, you don't have to print anything out and you don't have to waste paper if you don't want. Thank you, Carmen. The workbook looks beautiful. Yes, it does. And I can say that because this is not an ego statement. That's Cassandra. You can just thank Cassandra. She is. And if you see any new look on the website or on social media, Cassandra's responsible for the pretty pictures, the graphics. And Kendra, but Cassandra's the goddess of the gorgeous imagery. Everyone has their superpower, don't they? And that's also what we can start owning in ourselves in the Akashic records, of really owning who we are. We all have superpowers. We all have things we're amazing at. And I think it's important to really allow ourselves to shine, because that's what we're here for. I see a question coming in Facebook. When I go into my business records, I'm operating as a sole proprietor using a trade name, but it is not registered. What name should are you receiving money for it, Kelly? It doesn't matter if it's registered. If that's just how you're operating, just open up your trade name, I would say. That would be my suggestion. And I'll let you chime in with some more words there if you want. I'm receiving money in my own name. Then here's what I would do. I would try the trade name that you called it. Is that what I said there? Yeah, try the trade name and ask some questions, and then try your own name. If you're actually receiving money via your own name, I would try it. If it's not registered, you might get more info in your personal name. And whenever, by the way, whenever there's a question, try them out and see which one feels better. And then if you do register your name, your business name, then that's a little more official. It's like there's a kind of like an energetic stake in the ground, is the way to say it. Thanks, Candace. I see your message. Yeah, maybe in a few minutes. That would be great. Thank you. So here's another message. Even though the Akashic isn't really used for predicting the future, can we ask questions about several potential future paths to help get with what is more aligned with the goals of the soul path or life plan? Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about future stuff. The thing is, there is when you go into the Akashic records and you want to get something to help guide, because you want to be guiding yourself and your life based on that resonance and not kind of trip into things and figure out afterwards that it wasn't right. Here's what I would do if I was trying to make a decision that was future related. Okay. You'll have the recording, everyone. Just listen up, take notes. Here's what you want to do. Go in, open the records, and tell your soul guidance team you have some options in front of you. Explain your options. I have option 1 over here. I'm just seeing, because Rose, I know some of where you're at right now. I'm just looking to see if you put that detail in there. No, okay. So I have an option number 1 here that could be a future path for me, and talk about how you feel about it. What's good about it? What you would hate about it, what you're uncertain about, what might be great about it, but you don't really know because you're not in it yet. And do that with any, say you have 3 or 4 options, just talk out your different options. Now, why are we talking out the different options? You say, well, my soul guidance team should know everything. It does. They do, but here's the deal: free will. So we want to move the energy, we want to engage. And as we share it, we're going to share it in a unique way with our energy, with our human awareness. So as you do that, what I've found is, as I'm telling, different scenarios this is very subtle, but it can be very significant. There tends to be one that, like, oh, you know what? Why am I even considering that? And it goes away. Now, maybe you're left with 2 or 3 options. And this other one, like, oh, maybe, but I don't have enough information on that. I wonder if I can get more information on it. There might be one that actually lights up or feels more like, well, gosh, why am I even wuzzling over all these things? This one clearly is the one that I'd like to choose. It feels most resonant for me, but I've just been insecure about actually saying this is the one. So that's what I do. Go in, talk about all of it from your perspective, all the aspects of it, positive, negative, what you know, what you don't know. And just imagine it like I've got to move the energy. And so you are the one moving the energy as you tell that story. It will be far more effective because you won't get anything if you say, what should I do? And then tell me what to do. They're not going to tell you what to do. They're not going to. Because what happens, you know, if I came up and I said, okay, you need to do this tomorrow, that and the other thing, and do it in this order, in this way, at this time. You might be obedient, but you're not activating your free will, are you? So it's always respectful of our sovereignty as a spiritual being to guide and direct our lives as we wish. And we can still get a direction that will feel a little better, feel more likely. Okay. I hope that helps. Okay, yeah, try that, Kelly, and see what happens. See what happens with that. And, you know, because also there are times when we're transitional with things. You know, the business, I've gone through a lot of life changes recently. And over the last, I don't know, since about 2008, I'm on the third business name. It used to be Akashic Healing Studio. Then it was Soul Genesis. Now, is Soul Genesis completely gone? No. But I'm opening up the Akashic records of the rebranding of the business to just be my name, Holly Hawkins. So when there's these intersectional points, you kind of want to feel which still feels most alive and most relevant at that time. Here's another story about a name. When I married Paul a number of years ago, my name before that had been Holly Hawkins. Well, I had a middle name, but and when we first got married, I didn't legally change my name everywhere, all over the place, because I hate to do stuff like that. I hate that kind of governmental. So I just didn't legally change it. It took me 2 or 3 years. Eventually I got it to Social Security, you know, and then it can be official everywhere. And one day, so I was used to just still, I was married, but still opening my records as Holly Hawkins. And then one day I went in my records in the morning and I went, God, that wasn't very good. But I don't get upset about that. Some days are good, some not. It's like, I can go in later. Some point later on in the day, I realized, Holly, you just got your new Social Security card. And the next day I opened up my name was Holly Hawkins Marwood. And there it was again. It was tangible. The energy shifted. So our name matters to a degree when we go in there. Okay. And it's your current name, not what it's only your birth name if you still have the same name you were given when you were born. Current name, whatever your current name is. Okay. Just checking in on questions again. No more questions. Okay. So I want to just quickly share to clear up some confusion. And then if you have questions, please go ahead. We still have time. So write your questions in or just hang on to them for a minute. And I'll just talk about a couple things. And I'm just bringing it up on my sheet here. Oh, I have another question that was sent in to me, and I'll answer that in a minute too. Okay. So if any of you have gone onto the page and the Spiritual Business Accelerator program was starting next week, I changed it. It's starting in April. The reason is there were too many things coming up that was making it too compressed, feedback from people. And so I just moved it out a month. So it will now, and you'll see that reflected on that page, but it'll now be April through September instead of March through August. Shouldn't be a big problem for people. Actually, some people I heard back from already say, oh my gosh, that feels better for me. But I just wanted everyone to know that's the simple thing. The next thing is for the Spiritual Business Accelerator program, it is a 6-month program. Every single month we meet live for 7 hours, plus everyone in the program also has a one-to-one session with me. So 3 of the hours are a teaching and practicing module. Then twice a month we meet for 2 hours each time for support, Q&A, sometimes some more instruction and practice. It varies throughout the 6 months. There are some other subways. You'll have touch points with other people in the group. But here's what I wanted to share with you. You will have access to everything in the program for a year. So the program's going to run for 6 months, but you'll still have access to everything for 6 months afterwards. So there's a whole year of access. So you can go back, you can redo things, you can go deeper with it on your own. So I wanted to share that because I had a couple questions come up around that. Now, here I'm going to talk about money. And again, I'm sorry I didn't put it on the site, and here it is. First of all, I got rid of the $400 deposit. You wouldn't even know I got rid of it because the money wasn't there, but initially there was a $400 deposit. I got rid of it. Forget that. If you want to pay for the whole month, this is all US dollars, by the way. And I'm going to talk about, I have a discount for people who live in Canada. I'll tell you that in a minute because we have a yucky exchange rate going on right now. And if you are in Canada, you know that it's terrible right now, right? It's terrible. All right. So if you want to pay for the whole program, it's $3,990 for all 6 months for everything that you get in that. And so, and then if there is a pay over 6 months option, and it's $750 a month. But then the new thing is, you don't know it's new because you didn't even see it on the website unless you talk to me, is if you want to pay over 12 months, you can, and it's $400 a month. Okay. And that's because the whole program is for a year, 6 months active, 6 months accessing replays. Okay. Now, if you're in Canada, like I said, I know the exchange rate is messy. Now, let me go back. If you go to that landing page and you try to click on anything, all you see are the USD options right now. But all 3, and I'll put this up again, all 3 options are there, but don't freak out if you say, but I live in Canada. And listen, I don't care if you're a Canadian citizen or if you're an American citizen living in Canada. If you live in Canada, you can do this, okay, with a discount. What I did is I split the current kind of exchange rate, which is 35% about difference. It's fierce. So I split it in half. So I've given a 17% discount for anyone in Canada. Now, how do you access those? You do have to just send me an email and we'll find a time to chat, okay? It just gets too complicated in there. And so there's that, but it's a 17% discount. And so if any of that resonates with you, please, there are 2 options. You can book a one-to-one call with me because I want to talk to you. But if you don't want to, and you say, I don't need to talk to you, Holly, you can just click right through now. All right. I'm sorry for the people who are upset about that. I know I apologized earlier, but I didn't mean to upset anyone. I just want to hear what your vision is. I want to connect with you and I want to know that we're a great match together. But if it already feels like a yes to you, just go ahead and sign up. I don't need to be a gatekeeper of that for you. All right. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just put in here the links to this. And this is all the time, unless somebody has a question about it that I wanted to spend on this, but I did want to clear this up so that we're all happy again. So the link I put in there, it's my booking page, but the top 3 are those 3 options of 1 payment, 6 payments, or 12 payments. That's all USD. Reach out to me directly if you want. Take 17% off of that and you'll get the Canadian numbers, or just call and we'll chat. Okay. Let me just make sure I got all those things. Oh, and don't forget on Monday, today's Friday, on Monday, first of all, wish me luck on getting through figuring out who's the winner. But aside from that, don't forget, if you were putting in answers and responses to each of the 5 days, number one, good for you for doing it. And that's the real win on all of it. But the way you have an opportunity to, one person's going to win an Akashic record reading with me is you want to, what the action post is for every day in the Facebook group, put it in underneath that image. And I'm going to be starting to go through each of those and tally who's commented in there. And I'm going to make a big spreadsheet. And if you've responded with what your experience was for each of those action days, it'll be in a spreadsheet. And those people who've done all of them get put in a hat. Now, oh, and then I'll draw from that. I know not everyone loves Facebook. Not everyone's there. Don't worry. If you don't want to put them in Facebook, put all of them together in one email for me, because it's just too hard for me to track all the different emails and, okay, this is day 3 for them and this is day 4 for them. So put it in one email, and I'm going to put my email address in here now and send them to me in one email. And so you don't miss out if you hate Facebook, aren't on it, or don't want to find the posts. Because, and the way you find the posts is they're in featured, or you have to scroll through and find them. And they say action post number 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So let's go back to questions. Does anyone have any? Let me just check the chat. Does our name matter with the Akashic Records Nouveau? I know it did with the Pathway Prayer. So when you're really opening, the invocation, the way it came through and working in my records is when you're opening for yourself, it actually, you never have to say your name. It's just not there. So no, you don't have to say your own name when you're, because in the second, line there, and when you're opening it for yourself, it's as I enter my Akashic records. So it's known that when you're with the Akashic Records Nouveau method, you use the formal name if you're opening another set of records other than your own, pet, home, business, etc., or another human being. You put their formal name in there. Yeah, thanks, Rose, for that question. Great. Yes, Michelle, access for a whole year. And Michelle said, feels better for me too, starting in April. Yeah, there were just some things that were getting too tight. And I thought, wait, we don't need to do that. That if we're living in this field where we get to co-create, right? And this idea that we have to be pressured by things and people feeling stressed about it. So it's like literally yesterday in my records, I went, talk to me about this. I was getting advice. It's like, just put it to April. Like, it was so gentle and so kind and so obvious. It's like I got permission to move it a month. And again, I've shared it with a few people today and they were so grateful. So I'm glad at least those of you who've chimed in aren't upset by that. All right, anything else? What's your biggest takeaway? What's your biggest aha? What's the thing that you think you'll remember next month, year, 6 months from now? When you open your animal's Akashic records, do you just need their name only and their permission? Yes, you ask them. And you intuit if you got the right answer. And if you want them to give you permission and they haven't, you're not going to get anything. Yeah, you ask them, literally. If I'm opening up one of my cat's records, I go up and say, Bodhi, can I open your records now? He's kind of given me carte blanche to always open up his records. But, you know, if you have a dog and you go up to them and say, can I open your Akashic records? And they, you know, walk away and growl at you, that's a no. You know, you'll get a sense of it. You'll get a sense of it. Okay, Candace said the open-ended questions was the biggest takeaway for me. I really got that this time. And somebody else, Judy, said the same thing. Open-ended questions. So we could have stopped at day number 1. Thanks for being here, Anna. And let's see. Kelly, that's the one. Kelly Hill, I'm going to read your question next. I haven't gotten to it yet, but it's what I'm going to do in a second. So I haven't forgotten about you. If you, yeah, I guess because you're on Facebook, I need to read it. And then Kelly K says, having the business records available to me feels so supportive. No longer do I feel the isolation of being a solopreneur. Yes, that's so awesome. And yes to the open-ended questions. All right, wonderful. So while some of you may be putting in here your biggest takeaway, and consistency is the key with being in the records. It is. You're going to just grow so much. The more you're in there, the more you know. But that's true of everything we do as a human being, right? You know, the more we get on a bike, the better we are. So let me just read this other question that we have 2 Kellys here, at least. So I'm going to read the whole thing. Would you mind speaking to the tendency to resistance to receiving messages? Mine was particular to the word affluence while in the business records. It was clear in the moment I was having judgments and resistance to that word, which would be affluence. And I've been working on this personally. However, in general, I can tend toward resistance to things that seem wildly positive, especially for words like this, which can also have wildly different meaning to different people and even to me at different times in life. In that session, a different word was offered, I'm presuming here, to ease the clarity and my discomfort of resistance, and it was appreciation, which also has a few definitions. Anyway, maybe you can speak to underlying work that needs to be addressed in terms of shifting resistance and building trust in receiving information from the ether, and maybe ways to find or recognize benchmarks for progress around dismantling built-in resistance. I think this may be the pitfall you were describing in continually returning for advice around the same issues. Could you expand on that issue and the work to correct it, please? How important is it to be able to witness this progress? I'm having a judgment that it's important to acknowledge it somehow. And the benchmark question is speaking to this because it's difficult to see change in real time, especially if the progress is gradual. So there's a lot here in your question, Kelly. So I'm going to kind of deconstruct it as I read it. And if I'm missing the mark on something, you can type back into the chat. So first of all, if you receive something while you're in the records and you are resisting it, you don't like it, just tell your soul guidance team, like, whoa, you know what? I hate that word. I am so activated by that. Let's find something different. Let's find something different. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is I would say to the soul guidance team, explain affluence because I'm feeling like I hate it right now. And I don't even want to go there. If you're giving me that word, I don't want to even go where you want me to go. So help me understand why you are sharing that word for me. And you can always just say, give me a different word. Because remember, the words are really representative of energy. So, and I think you totally get that, Kelly. So the idea here is, it's great that you're aware of the judgment. Talk to them about how you feel. Remember, the clean slate process is about telling how you feel. And you might be telling about things that are happening in your everyday life or things that happened in your past that you still haven't released or let go of or forgiven yourself for or whatever. just like you talk that out in the records, you can talk out any resistance to things that are coming up in there. Also, when you come up against any kind of resistance, it doesn't have to be a word, but any resistance there, again, talk out what that resistance is. You can remember, you can negotiate with your soul guidance team and just say, I'm resisting what you're sharing. I'm resisting that point of view. I'm resisting the energy of that. And I would like to move myself out of resistance. What's one thing I can do, or a way I can pivot to move through this energy of resistance? Okay, now the next thing I want to address is the idea of, how do we notice shifts? How do we notice changes? You know, that's an excellent question, because we're in a very highly refined energy field. It's very subtle in certain ways. And the biggest way I know how to notice the changes is to look back. And I talked about this a little while ago. The easiest way to anchor change is to look back. Where was I 6 months ago? How did I feel about this a year ago? What was I doing with this topic 20 years ago, depending on our age and how long we've been gnashing over things? I mean, I have things that I'm still gnashing over that I haven't gotten to that center nugget of, and that I've been dealing with since I was childhood and teenager. Am I a lot better? Absolutely. How do I know I'm better? It's not because it's gone. It's because I can look back and say, wow, so that person doesn't trigger you the same way anymore. Or you don't go as far down the rabbit hole if that's going to bother you anymore. It's like a retrospective is often the best way to notice the change. Part of that is because, again, I mentioned this earlier, is whenever we make progress, we don't notice it. It's because there's something else pushing us forward. So we're always going to the next thing, whatever that next thing is. So we're so focused on what's the next thing, we don't rest in where we are right now. The other way I notice change, I've touched on it here, is my emotional reactivity. Now, I say that because I'm a highly sensitive, emotional person. You know, like, I cry at Hallmark commercials. Like, I can cry because somebody else is crying. So I'm a highly emotional, sensitive person. So I notice my emotions and notice if, you know, that again, you know, like, how am I dealing in that situation? Am I pulling myself up more? And that brings me to something else. I look at my resiliency. And resiliency is kind of a big word, but it does fall into, you know, how am I dealing with myself in my life? Am I feeling, even if something knocks me over a little bit, am I feeling better, faster? Do I feel more resilient? Because I personally, this doesn't have to be you, I'm not looking for a life that's bliss bunny every minute. I'm not seeking that. I know that I'm in a dimension of polarity. I know it's going to go up and down. I know I'm going to have pinnacle moments that are just beyond amazing. And I know I'm going to have times where it feels terrible. I'm not looking for that like nirvana place. What I'm looking for is are my undulations, is that a sine wave? In my sine wave, what's the amplitude of them? Okay, so am I bouncing myself back more easily? Am I talking myself out of feeling badly and getting more on my side more quickly? You know, that's a barometer that I have. And it takes, you know, it's just, and everything I'm saying is choosing to be aware. Choosing to be aware of how I'm different than I was before, how I'm responding differently. So let me know how that feels, Kelly. And if you have more around that. I'm just looking at the chat. Let's see. Clean slate. Another hand raised for the clean slate process. is now available for that next muggle job, right? Yes, it's so good for that. The Akashic Records has helped remove the emotional charge on memories. Excellent. Excellent. I love that. You know, that's the thing with this also. We're not going to change anything about what's happened. It did, right? You know, I'm transparent about it. I experienced sexual abuse as a child. And there was addictive patterns when I was growing up around me. I'm not going to change any of that. From my perspective, I don't need them to be any different. I don't. But what I can do for myself, which is what I lean into heavily in the Akashic Records, is how yummy can I feel about myself in spite of those things happening? How can I feel great about me, even though I had those things happen to me? Because that our light is always there, no matter what we do, no matter what we've experienced, nothing has snuffed out our light. Nothing. So we want to lean into our light and discover it. Discover it. I'm just going back to Facebook again. It's not letting me scroll here. Let's see. Yes, it's a complex set of questions, lots to unpack. Yes, I totally get this energy translation idea. And yes, I will get more comfortable pressing for clarification. Ask. Yeah, absolutely. Ask them. Think about them being your best friend who knows you better than you. And they're 1000% on your side. So you would lean into that person with your questions. So you really understood more, lean into them, and you're cultivating a very deep, intimate relationship. I'm just reading the rest of it. Even though they seem to recognize I needed it, ask. Just ask. And that's the way it is with all non-physical beings. Remember, you have free will. So your asking allows them to advise. Your asking allows them to support you. Okay. Excellent wave metaphor. I get that. And Kelly also said there's been quite a treasure trove in this and in the videos. I really appreciate all of this. Thank you. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Oh, wait, there was another question in here. Hang on, from Michelle. 1 second. Do you have guidelines for using your invocation professionally with others? I ask because it's beautifully crafted. So here's the way I feel about this. Oh, wait, there's more here. Needing specific certification requirements. Use. No. So here's the deal with this. Thank you for asking. Do I offer foundational Akashic Records training? Yes. Do you end up with a certification after? Yeah. Do I mind if you use this invocation? No. No. Use it. It's given freely that way. Do you learn a lot in a certification course? Yep. Do you have a lot of experience in a certification course? Yes. Do we go into all these things I've just touched on the very tip of the iceberg on in a certification course? Yes. For you to develop confidence in your own records as well as in other people's and other beings, I should say, homes, pets, businesses, you know, all of it, all of it. Yeah. So, but if like Michelle, who asked, I know she's trained. We did training together, didn't we, back in the day, Michelle? Is that how we originally met? Try it with your clients. I don't mind. Just give attribution to it if it's necessary, but I don't mind. And if somebody wants to come for training, I'll be offering it later in the year. And some other people have asked about other classes I teach. I haven't finalized my entire year yet. I'm getting through March, and then I'll be planning the rest of the year out. I've had a lot of big changes in the last many months, and I need to kind of let all of that settle. And then I'm going to kind of be able to look at the whole year. My intention is to teach a foundational Akashic Records class, create some other classes related to the Akashic Records that I've been wanting to do for a while. I will be teaching the Galactic Akashic Records class, which I've never taught in the English-speaking world. I've only taught it in Japan so far, and that's going to blow some people's minds. And I will be teaching channeling later on in the year as well as, whoever's joining me for the Spiritual Business Accelerator program. Will it be online? Yes, it will be online. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only that, I'm new in the area where I'm living in North Carolina, and this is going to sound pathetic. I don't even have friends here yet. It's not meant to sound pathetic, but, I don't have a community here yet. My daughter's here and her boyfriend and my granddoggy. And so I'm still landing in this area. So I'm just doing everything online right now. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Galactic Akashic Records. But more on that later. That's not, that goes into a different dimension, literally and figuratively, right? But it's fun. It's really a lot of fun. Anything else I can support you with tonight before we zip off to our evenings? Ooh, some of those upcoming classes sound interesting. Thank you, Deborah. Deborah, wait, I thought I saw another comment from you earlier that I missed. Oh yeah, here. When we went in and I felt this shift in me that made me feel like a magnet. So everything started coming to me instead of me chasing after what I want. Yes, that's ideally what we want to do when we get into vibrational alignment, right? That it just is magnetizing. We still have to put out a frequency to get there magnetically. Yes, Eva, did you sign up and get emails? Then you'll hear about it. Yeah, great. Thank you. Candace, you had something you wanted to share also, am I right? Candace, the mystery woman in her blue lights, purple lights.
I'm staying at a blue castle and everything is blue, including the light.
Wow.
It's quite phenomenal where I am right now. But yeah, so I do want to share just a little bit because I did do the SBA last year and I'm going to be in it again, which I'm so excited about. And I'm just going to share a tiny little bit. I mean, there's so much that one can share, obviously, in that much amount of time, what one goes through. But what I really want to share is one, the power. What I'm really looking forward to are those LED Akashic record readings where we're all in the Akashic records like we did over the 5 days, and Holly is leading us through questions. And then we have the recording of it. I moved through so much massive amounts of energy with that, going into things that I never would have gone through on my own because they were tough questions. And in that container with all the other people there as well, I was willing to go places I wouldn't have gone otherwise. And what was really cool is I was doing it for myself. And so I had the support of Holly there holding that energy. I had the container of the group. And then with that heightened energy, that openness, I was able to meet myself at a level that I wouldn't have on my own. And that was tremendous and is tremendous. And I'm really excited to be in that again. And the other thing I did was I would listen to those recordings again and again, especially on certain topics like the self-worth. And I made such a huge shift in the self-worth. And just moving the energy, I just would share what are the results? Well, one, I started making steps in my business where I wasn't making any movement before. I was just stuck. Like I really wanted to move, but I just couldn't. And all of a sudden I was creating like almost with not like I was making connections to people. All of a sudden people were inviting me to things. I started doing fairs. People were signing up for my classes, you know, just out of me shifting my energy. And then the other thing that happened, which was unexpected, it was I was actually flooded with money, which was, you know, from the business, but also elsewhere, which was supporting me and holding me up so that I can grow at my own pace as I was growing and not be stressed about it. So I would just, by moving all the energy that I was moving of self-worth and money and, you know, being seen, all the different parts, I was just, everything was helping me and holding me to push me forward, you know, carry me forward, push me forward, you know, all of it in its own way. And so it just, you know, these things happen in illogical ways, and yet you see the results and you can't deny them. So I'm just really excited to go into it again with a new container, a new group, a new energy, and just see what you know, me and my soul guidance team and what I'm inspired to unravel and to move through and to create this year. So that's really what I wanted to share.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. From my perspective, Candace and James, who's here, and he said he was in it before, and I can't see everyone who's on Facebook, so I don't know if anyone else is here who's been in it before. From my perspective, this is going to sound very motherly, but like, it's such a joy for me to watch people unfold, you know, like, and through, but it's not just me and what I'm doing. It's everyone's willingness to show up for themselves and play full out. And, you know, both James and Candace, everyone, you know, they rolled up their sleeves, they did it. And I can create the space for it, just like I have over these 5 days, but it's all of you actually doing it that makes the difference, right? And that's what happens in that container over the 6 months. Thanks, Candace. It's fun. It's fun for me to watch people open up and shift and really start getting to where they have a huge desire to. Yeah. So again, thank you all. Thank you all for your thanks. It's really been just a joy and a pleasure. And reach out to me if you have any questions. Oh, there are still openings if you want to have a one-to-one conversation with me. The link, let's see. I have to see if I have it on my list here, but I did want to remind everyone that today I didn't do the Wellspring Live. Next week I'll do Wellspring Live, and we'll get back into our Fridays. And now that so many of us have opened up the Akashic Records, my intention is maybe once a month, we'll do a guided experience on those Fridays. So Wellspring Live is complimentary. It is on Zoom and on Facebook, just like this, every Friday at noon Eastern time. Come on in if you want. Love to have you there. And you can go back, they're archived on the Facebook page, and you can go back and see there's like, I don't know, 20 or 30 or more of them in there. On the YouTube page, I keep forgetting to move them over, so they're not all there. But just I talk about whatever is coming up. There's just a lot of nuggets around spiritual business, mindset, you know, all of it. And so every Friday at noon Eastern time in the Facebook group, in Zoom. If you want Zoom, if you'd rather do that here, or if you like, and if you like email reminders or text message reminders, I'm putting this in the chat now. Again, show up in the Facebook group Fridays at noon, and it'll be there. If you want email reminders, if you want the Zoom link, if you want text messages, you can sign up at the link I just put there and join that way. Either way, I love you all so much. All right, okay. I'm gonna read your comment in a minute. All right. it's taking me a minute to process what you wrote. Yeah. Everyone, have a great time. We'll see you on Facebook. We'll see you on Zoom. I wish you all the best. I want you to be a light worker out there playing full out. Find your people, help them. All right. Love you all. Bye-bye.